From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. A 56-year-old convicted murderer from interior village of Venati is out of prison and back in court.
This morning, he was back in Fairbanks Superior Court asking to drop his civil action against the state of Alaska. Burns Frank was convicted of second-degree murder back in 2000 and served part of a 20-year prison term before being released on parole in 2012. On December 15, 1998, after an alcohol-fueled argument, Frank stabbed Richard John to death in a room at the Klondike Inn off Airport Way. Over time, Frank had repeatedly filed civil court actions, saying his defense counsel didn't represent him well during his trial by jury. Frank had said he and his now retired defense attorney, Paul Konarski, were unable to effectively communicate during trial because Gwich'in is his primary language. Now, during a brief hearing this morning, Frank told Judge Jane Kavar that he no longer wished to pursue his long-standing dispute with the state, saying he wanted to get on with his life. Judge Kavar dismissed the case and Frank left the courtroom, refusing an on-camera interview, asking that his legal counsel and interpreter do the same.
The President and Chief Executive Officer of Golden Valley Electric Association is preparing to hold a discussion regarding the interior's energy crisis. Corey Borgeson, who has headed up the electric utility since November, will offer a free presentation tomorrow, Thursday, January 10th at 7 p.m. at the Scheibel Auditorium, titled Energy Issues for the Interior, the New Rubik's Cube. Borgeson said the lecture will focus on Golden Valley projects and interests and will provide historical background for those not up to speed on the issues. Topics discussed will include the Healy Clean Coal Plant, the Eva Creek Turbine Wind Farm, and Watana-Susitna Hydro Project, and of course, natural gas in the interior. Borgeson says he hopes to hear questions and concerns from the audience as well.
We'll show a little bit about how we dispatch these resources to make sure that we're using the cheapest power possible. Kind of a little bit of understanding how the electric issues work, and then we're going to talk about the trucking project. We're going to talk about solutions to this energy issues that we're facing here.
Well, according to Fairbanks Police, results from a state medical examiner have left the death of a 59-year-old burn victim as undetermined in nature. Police say John Druck Wallace was seriously burned while sleeping inside the downtown Fairbanks post office on New Year's Day. Wallace died of his injuries last Saturday at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Police are not saying whether or not the case is criminal and further say Wallace may have suffered from health issues as well. Police say Wallace was found burning in the lobby by someone checking their mail. The person who found him and others worked to put the fire out before firefighters arrived a few minutes later. Police say they continue to investigate the death as suspicious. Now, shortly before a candlelight vigil held for Wallace was held late Tuesday, Fairbanks City Mayor Jerry Cleworth says lots of questions in the case still need answers.
So we're looking at it very seriously. Both our fire department and police department are investigating it now. This individual, yes, it was a street person, but also had a degree in engineering. Very sharp, is my understanding, and because we're kind of a regular downtown. The words I keep hearing from people is very kind and very tender, which I thought was an interesting word to describe him. The street people, I know through my business and through many other things. They're friends, you know, they're people that are struggling, many with addictions, we know that, and you know, you do all you can for them. Ultimately, they're responsible for themselves, but you know, this particular tragedy bothers a lot of us greatly.
We've been spoiled lately with the weather. Now, later on in the newscast, Mike is going to tell us possibly about some temperatures that would exceed even the best expectations for January.
I heard upper 30s from
Maybe.
him earlier today.
Well, we'll
so,
let him explain.
All right, when we come back, an update on the Shell oil rig that grounded.
Also, redistricting is back in the news. Those stories are next. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fbx Evening News is brought to you by Northland Hearing Services. Better hearing with a human touch.
And And welcome back. The U.S. Coast Guard has ordered an investigation into the incident of a drilling rig that grounded near Kodiak, Alaska on December 31st. Reporter Blake Essig has the latest.
After a week of being stranded off the coast of Sitkalidak Island, Shell's Beaufort Sea drilling rig is now floating in a protected area.
Right now, our priority is to get a closer look at the culloch, both inside and out, to better understand its integrity.
With the hopes of determining not only the immediate future of the culloch, but also any role it would play in the future exploration programs here in Alaska.
We're going to revisit every aspect of this program, from A to Z, of course.
On Tuesday, the United States Coast Guard launched a formal marine casualty investigation.
And the investigation is to find out the circumstances surrounding the grounding and how we could prevent that in the future, save lives, and protect the environment so that doesn't happen again.
While the Coast Guard's investigation is purely a fact-finding mission, it could lead to more.
If there is negligence or other criminal type of activity found, violation of law.
The Department of Interior also announced an expedited assessment of Shell's 2012 drilling in the Beaufort and Chukchi Seas.
I think the Interior Department wants to do is accumulate all this and then determine, is this having any impact in future exploration in the Arctic? And I think their answer will be no.
The senator says his review will be more of an oversight of all the different probes, as well as how the federal agencies responded to Shell's problems.
Anytime you have an incident or some situation that oil and gas explorers are having problems, you always have to ask all the hard and critical questions.
State prosecutors rested their case earlier today in the state of Alaska versus Arthur Augustine. The 56-year-old man is charged with 2 counts of first-degree sexual abuse of a minor, as well as 2 counts of second-degree child sexual abuse. Augustine faces a possible life prison term if convicted in the case. According to Alaska State Troopers, their investigation began when they received a report from the State Office of Children's Services that says Augustine abused the girls repeatedly while they visited with him on weekends. Prosecutors wrapped up its case with officials from the local Stevie's Place taking the witness stand.
The Alaska Redistricting Board filed a petition for the state's highest court to reconsider the decision requiring Alaska's political boundaries be redrawn. Now, attorneys for the board say the court misconstrued or overlooked important facts in the case, such as failing to answer whether the plan adopted by the board was constitutional and that the court violated the separation of powers doctrine by dictating the process the board must use in drawing a map.
Today on Fort Wainwright, the North Haven Community Center officially opened its doors with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The new center was there and has more in our military report. The North Haven Community Center welcomed Major General Garrett and his wife Lorelei to cut the ribbons this afternoon at the ceremony. During the ceremony, Major General Garrett was pleased with the newly completed 10,000 square foot center that comes equipped with a playroom, 48-person theater, kitchen, Happy Light room, Skype center, and much more.
You know, this has exceeded, I think, certainly my expectations, and not necessarily this facility, but I think I've been most impressed by the fact that the organizations, companies, businesses that run our privatized housing, I don't get the sense that they do it for profit. I get the sense that they do it to take care of our families.
North Haven partnered with RCI in the building of the community center, which broke ground in 2010. Wanting to provide amenities to Fort Wainwright that were not available, the center was a project that both are happy to see completed.
And we finished it a little bit early. We were expecting to get this during the summer, but we managed to get it done in December, so we got to move in then. So it's been about 2.5 years in the making.
The Fort Wainwright PFC gym ice rink was in discussion to close to provide more space for soldier training. Major General Garrett said this is just another space to be utilized for families.
And you know, I was floating around the idea of taking our hockey rink and turning it into a multi-purpose facility. And I'm still considering, I still haven't completely given up on that. I'm not going to do it now. We're not going to do it now. But this is just another wonderful 4,000 or 6,000, however many square feet this is, that we didn't have yesterday.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
down, Joe.
We gotta get better at this, guys.
I know, right?
But it's cool. I'm here with the sports. We had some high school sports action going on in the interior last night. Tell you all about it. And the Nanox men's team is back in the Patty Center tomorrow. We talked to head coach McDermott about what will be his 500th game. And that's coming up next in sports. Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here once again, the sports seat for you on Hump Day. A fun-filled weekend is on the horizon, but first, let's get to today's sports happenings. The Lathrop Malamutes had another non-conference game and had the option of treating it like just any other game or use it to get back on track. And Lathrop got back on track at Joe T. Court against the Hutchinson Hawks. The Malamutes neutralized Darren Silas and the Hawks, forcing turnover after turnover. And at one point, it looked like a layup line in the second half. At halftime, Lathrop led 37-24 and broke out in the third on a 10-2 run and cruised 79-46 over Hutchinson. Trayman Washington had a game-high 19 points for Lathrop, leading 4 other Malamutes in double figures, including Kyle Carlson's 14 points. Darren Silas had 16 for the Hawks, and Michael Benson had 14. Lathrop is now 5-3, and head coach Milo Griffin says his team is getting used to moving around naturally.
Well, we're trying to get everybody to get involved early with the running and moving without worrying about setting up an offense and trying to do some things. And sometimes it gets teams a little bit off, but if you're moving and doing natural things, it makes it a little easier. It's hard to come off of playing a tournament and get motivated, so we had a hard time getting them up today, but once they got going, we were okay.
They followed suit to get the sweep against the Hutchinson Hawks. It was a back-and-forth start to the game, and a nice way to start that game to play there right after tip-off. Both teams were knotted up at 4 all early. The Hawks were down just 5, 15-10 going into the second quarter, but the Malamutes, like the boys team earlier, converted turnovers into points. Ruthie Hebert dropped the game-high 16 points. 9 of her points came in the second half. Jasmine White added 15. A dynamic duo forming there for the Malamutes. And Ashley Stark, she led the Hawks with 12 points as Mimi Wood was a non-factor. Ely Veasley had 8 in the first quarter for the Hawks. The Malamutes are on a roll coming off a clock-conquering Christmas Classic, try to say that 10 times fast, championship in Ketchikan and get their 4th win in a row, 47-35 over Hutchinson.
We had too many turnovers. We had too many unforced turnovers that if you take those away, even us not being our normal selves, I think the score would have been close, and it could have been a game that would have gone either way.
All I can ask for them is to work and believe in each other, move the ball around, swing it around, and just trusting each other and communicate with each other. And I'm seeing a little bit more of that, and we're starting to get things together.
And in more preps action, high school hockey teams took the ice, and the Monroe Rams started off 2013 yesterday with the win. The Rams handled the Huskies of Delta Junction 6-1. Hunter Heyman and Dylan Steele both scored 2 goals for the Rams. Elliot St. Laurent, serving dishes better than a French Raider. The Gosson had 3 assists. The backstop, Nathaniel Brose, was on point with 21 saves in this conference win, which brings the Rams to 7-4 and 2 consecutive W's. And now we go up the hill now for women's basketball, and the Nanox didn't fare too well in their first pair of conference games of the new year after dropping a 71-56 game to number 9 Simon Fraser last Thursday. On Saturday, the number 20 Western Washington Vikings beat the Nanox 87-59. The Vikings played a Nanox kind of game, forcing a lot of turnovers, adding 12 steals, which turned into 24 Viking points. The Nanox are still one of the best in the GNAC at turning opponents over, but they'll have to start converting those turnovers into points. The Nanox will have an opportunity to do just that in their next game tomorrow on the road in Seattle Pacific. It may be a bit premature to say every now and again I can be a jinx when it comes to certain aspects of Nanox basketball. Just ask Chris Brooks, the Assistant Sports Information Director up on the Hill. But I'll just say the Nanox men's basketball team is starting to come into form. Their 2-0 road trip over the weekend was the first road conference sweep since 2006. They now have a 4-game winning streak, which is the longest since 2007. Their 8 wins are 3 more than last year, and their 3 GNAC wins are 1 better than the year before, and it's only January. And that's what you call improvement. And with head coach Mick Durham coaching his 500th career game tomorrow against St. Martin's, this team could be realizing their potential as a threat in the GNAC.
Well, yeah, 500 games, that seems like a lot of preparation, a lot of work to me is what it seems like, but it's been great. And you know, we're just trying to keep improving. You know, we're trying to catch people in this league, and so far after 2 weeks, you know, we won 3 out of 4.
Just make sure we have our hands active, and just being a threat on both sides of the court is just a big thing, and just being active defensively is just what's been helping us lately.
And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Be sure to catch some more KTVF 11 Sports on your phone. That's right. Download the KTVF 11 app in the App Store for Apple products and Google Play for Droid. You can get all the latest news in sports with this nice app. While you're downloading that, stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Well, you guys were stealing my thunder, pardon the pun, earlier about the weather that's going to be changing, because we are looking at temperatures that could be low to mid-30s by Monday.
Like
Mixed
that?
rain and snow in the forecast.
So thunder quite literally?
No.
No. Well, rain anyway.
But later on, I got to tell you about some temperatures that are going on across the world that are just really crazy. But speaking of temperatures, let's go out to the airport and see what's going on out there. We have mainly clear skies, partly cloudy, I should say. 8 degrees below zero. Our high today was 6 below. The low last night, 20 below. Record high 40 in 2002. Record low 56 below in 1952. Sunrise this morning was at 10:40. Sunset at 3:19, giving us 4 hours, 39 minutes of daylight, a gain of 5 minutes from yesterday. And our satellite picture will show you that in just a little bit. We're showing you our photograph first, sent in by Agnes Beavers. A brilliant sunrise, gorgeous shot there. Again, thanks to all you folks sending your photographs to Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. Now that satellite picture, we do have another system moving our direction. This one has a little more push with it and a little more moisture. As you can see, the moisture is starting to move across the southwest part of the state, and this is going to continue moving in over the Alaska range and give us a chance of some measurable snowfall starting tomorrow, about 1 inch or so, and then more warm air coming in behind that system. What's going on across the rest of the state? Well, we have partly cloudy to clear skies over the Ketchikan area, and we have cloudy skies from Anchorage on to the Kodiak region. As you can see up and down the west coast, a little bit of snowfall around the Bethel area. And they're looking at possible winter weather advisories for snowfall of 2 to 4 inches. Up in the North Slope, just partly cloudy skies at Barrow and cloudy skies at Fort Yukon, 4 degrees below zero. Lower 48 weather, well, look at this. We're looking at more rain across the Pacific Northwest, extending all the way down the west coast to the Los Angeles area. The storms that were over Texas have started to move on finally. As you can see on the satellite and radar, that was a pretty good energy system. Here's the area of low pressure here, spinning all that moisture up but pushing it rapidly across, so it wasn't nearly as bad as they were expecting. Another system moving all the way across the Pacific Northwest, dropping down. Now, this system that we're talking about today did bring a lot of heavy rain to around Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and thunderstorms, strong thunderstorms around the Houston area. But the overall picture for this weekend is calling for the jet stream to take a big dive down to the south, bringing cold air all the way down to West Texas, southern parts of Arizona, and then dive right back up again across the northeast and over the eastern half of the country, looking pretty good. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. In the northern sections, flurries and fog in Barrow, blowing snow for Nome, and isolated flurries in the Fort Yukon area. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at some snow developing by afternoon, about, like I said, about 1 inch possible for both Fairbanks and the Healy area. Over the southeast Alaska, mostly sunny skies with patchy morning fog in Juneau and Ketchikan. And over to the southwest, we'll be looking at windy and Cold Bay, mixed rain and snow in Kodiak, and the winter weather advisory I was telling you about in the Bethel area. And over the south central regions, partly cloudy skies for Anchorage, then a chance of snow developing by the afternoon for them too. Increasing clouds for Homer and mostly sunny in Valdez. Well, back again once again to our kids' weather for this week. We're talking with the kids from North Pole Elementary School, and tonight, a young lady with a very nice picture to share with you.
And this is my weather picture. It's a rainbow, and it's a sunny day and a rainy day, and there's rain clouds and a little girl with an umbrella and a rainbow and a dog, and this is my weather picture.
And tomorrow night, a young man will be here to ask about hot temperatures across the world. Speaking of hot temperatures across the world, 110 degrees, very common around the Australian area. And back to Alaska, we see air quality index through 5 p.m. Thursday, unhealthy for sensitive groups. North Pole is unhealthy. And our forecast for tonight, 19 below, cold with increasing clouds throughout the night. Tomorrow's forecast calling for 5 degrees above with some snow likely by afternoon. The extended forecast, look at these temperatures rising up to the low 30s by Sunday and Monday, and mixed rain and snow, like I said in the forecast. Unbelievable. And we're looking at mild temperatures to continue right on through the 5-day period. Overnight lows also warm, 20 degrees for the overnight lows. But like I said before about Australia, they're going through 110 to 115 degrees across most of the central sections of Australia. Lots of fires and everything. It's just a really ugly scene there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Okay, that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. As always, we're glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, a public health emergency as flu deaths soar. That's next with Brian Williams.
You can get our news, sports, and weather on your iPhone and iPad with our new mobile app. Information's at webcenter11.com.
And that will do it from all of us here at the News Center. Have a good night. Try and stay warm. And we'll see you back here at 11.